video games like these can influence violence.
Screw you, dude! Oh my god! Stop freaking betraying me!
And this violence reflects on other aspects of their life.
Violent video games. Violent video games.
Violent video games.
Video games are the cause of violence.
I went out to ask people what they thought about violent video games and how they are changing people in society. Could you tell me a little about your son's gaming habits?
Yeah, well, they got the Xbox, which is their main game, their main
Console.
Main console, and they mainly play FIFA, and that's their main game that they play, and they are on it quite a bit.
Yeah.
We're talking roughly about 2 or 3 hours a day.
Is that every day?
Yeah, and probably more at weekends.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably more in the winter because obviously it's darker in the evenings.
And has that influenced them to play football, do you think? Or did they like football before?
They liked football before. There is a game called Skate 2. I think, yeah, it's like a skateboarding game, which my younger son plays, and that has kind of inspired him to go out and do a bit of skateboarding.
Now, while Skate 2 and FIFA aren't really violent games, Skate 3 can increase stupidity because of all its silly tricks.
How often do you buy games for them?
Oh, probably 2 to 3 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so normally Christmas, birthdays, and if a special occasion like they've had good grades for school or something, yeah. That's when we buy them, but they do have an account which they sometimes dip in and buy games, but I'm in control of that.
Okay. Do you allow your children to play games that are over their age range if you think they're appropriate?
No.
No.
No, never.
In your experience as someone who works in a school, do you have any examples of children's behaviour that's been influenced by maybe a violent video game?
Yeah.
Do you mind elaborating on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of wrestling, play fighting. I don't know what the games are called, but the children get very aggressive with one another, so they would try and wrestle them to the ground and kick them and put them in headlocks, because there's a particular game that they play on Xbox, which does trigger violence in the playground normally. Well, not normally, but particularly with boys. I don't see that going with girls. It's very, very a boy thing. But yeah, it can become very aggressive.
Alright. What do you think the future has in store for video games? Do you think that the violence will die down, or do you think it will increase?
What, the games that you buy?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it will increase because people want more. Yeah, once they've got used to that level of violence, they'll always strive to want more. So yeah, I think it will get worse.
As a teacher, Claire's opinion is very adult-based, so I interviewed a college student named Harvey. Harvey enjoys playing games so much that he decided to start his own YouTube channel.
How often do you play video games?
I play video games every day for roughly 5 hours.
5 hours, right. And you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
What do you enjoy about it?
I enjoy the social side of it, I suppose, that I chat to people over Skype and game chat and stuff.
Nice. What is your usual age-rated game? What sort of age range do you play?
Maybe 15 or 18.
What do you prefer?
I prefer games that have a certain level of maturity, such as like Call of Duty and stuff. But then again, now you have people that are ridiculously underage playing those games.
Have you ever been so angry that you've acted out in a violent way whilst playing a video game?
No, never.
Never?
No games ever made me feel that angry.
Alright. Do you ever talk about these games with your friends at all? What
games that make you angry?
Yeah. Do you ever talk about violent things?
I don't find games personally insulting if they're violent. I find them quite fun.
Alright, fair enough. Do you feel that playing violent video games has changed you as a person at all, or changed others that you know?
No, I don't think video games have any impact on society at all, apart from if you give a child under the age of 12 a game like Grand Theft Auto, because it gives them the belief that that's acceptable in society, where it clearly isn't.
Yeah, right. Would you ever let children play these sort of games?
No, not at all if they're my children, not until a suitable age. I don't know. I mean, I was allowed to play games like that at quite a young age, but I'm not violent. I know the difference between right and wrong.
And then I decided to interview a woman who encourages children to do things like this. She is also a teacher and works in the same school as our former subject, Claire.
From my experience working in a junior school, I don't like video games. A lot of our children play games that are inappropriate for them, and it reflects in their behaviour in school. We've got quite a few children with quite disturbed behaviour, and when you say to them, where have you seen this, they'll say to you that it's a video game they've played. So the things they tell us they play are always way beyond the age they are. The children I work with are 7 and 8 years old. In our school we have somebody called a homeschool link worker, and she's very, very involved working with parents actually in their home with children that are showing behaviour that worries and disturbs us in school, and children that have other problems. And I can actually cite one particular case of a little boy, very violent, very threatening to other children, and whenever he was given paper he would always portray on the paper death, bleeding, war, killing. It was just so distressing to see the way his mind worked. When our homeschool link worker began to unpick where his behaviour was coming from through lots of strategies that she has to just think the child, put the child at ease, and the child then opens up and starts to talk, we found out he was playing things like COD, Call of Duty, which is an 18 game, and he's 7 years old. He's actually an August birthday, this child, so he's a very young 7 in our year group as well. The homeschool link worker then made contact with mum and dad. It's not a single parent family, it's mum and dad, and she worked very closely with them, and the video games were removed, and within 2 weeks we saw such a difference in this child. He was passive, not to the point of not being included in anything, but he would interact with other children. I use the word passive in comparison to what he was like, where he was so violent. He would then be asked to play outside in the playground and on the field by other children because he wasn't threatening to kill them all the time.